This podcast contains an English accent that most of our Irish listeners will find offensive. Also, there may be some colourful language that you're going to find less offensive. Now, over to Ryan and Leon. Enjoy the podcast.
It was a nice surprise hearing from Mrs. Duggins there, wasn't it?
What a sweet woman.
I know, my mum is very sweet. She just called me as we were literally hit record. Mum's called me. Put on speaker. Ah, yeah. Well, I wasn't very well this week, you see, Leon, so she was making sure her little soldier was doing all right.
She was concerned.
Oh, and she's dead right to me.
A little boy.
Having a cold is pretty bad for us.
Serious business.
Yeah, I agree.
Man flu.
To be fair, we do struggle with it.
You know, it was touch and go for a couple of days, I heard. Runny noses. Did you get a lozenge? Perhaps?
What did I get? I got strepsils. I got paracetamol 2 a.m.
So your man feels better now.
Well, I don't know. I told her to kind of leave me alone. Go on, Mum. Get off the phone.
Don't be kicking her to the curb. She's only concerned me.
No. Got to be nice to our mums, you see.
Of course you do. Well, look, they brought you into this world. They'll take you fucking over.
That's true. Well, happy Easter, everyone. First of all, we're on our Easter special. Not really special. We're not doing anything specific for it because we were like, well, if we were, we'd be doing hymns with that one.
Here I am, Lord.
Oh, God.
Is it I, Lord? There you go. There's one hymn for you.
On the show today, what have we got? Well, we're going to be talking about having kids, Easter, kids running around. Maybe that's what caused the frustration of that particular message that we got. We've got a couple of poets that we both like that you might not know about. An introduction to some new people. A showcase, sorry. Well, let's kick things off, like we love to do, with our favourite poets. I've been excited to talk about this guy since we were going to do the podcast. I was very sad to hear about the passing of Benjamin Zephaniah. Birmingham poet. Most people will know him as the preacher in Peaky Blinders.
Oh, right.
He's Birmingham, but he's like Rastafarian.
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. He died.
Spoken word artist, poet. He was a campaigner, activist, someone who would push back on British politicians when it was really important to do so. And we'll talk about like Windrush in a sec. He was a big part in like some really important political changes in the UK. Yeah. But he got spoken word on the telly. Like in the year that he died, Sky Arts put a show on called Life and Rhymes. It was the first time I'd ever seen spoken word on telly.
Really?
Yeah. Because in Ireland, like, isn't there Other Voices sometimes has things on, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Other Voices has several spoken word artists, but yeah, they'll occasionally do a few spoken word artists. You know, and it's good to see. But yeah.
I never. It was like an open mic event on stage. He was emceeing it. It was brilliant. It's on Sky Arts. You can find it now. But he passed. He is a bit of a hero to me. I like the way he sees the world. A lot of his poetry is about challenging stereotypes.
Good. And
wanting to drop a lot of the walls that we have about people from different backgrounds. He's one of the only people that I know who's lived in North Korea.
That's mental.
He just goes.
How the fuck did he get into North Korea?
I don't know how he got into North Korea.
He definitely stood out.
He actually doesn't speak. He's spoken a few times about being there, and he actually liked a few things about the way they do things there. He was like, if you like modern stuff, it's not the way you want to go. But a few things he did like.
I heard a rumour.
Did you?
Another one of these rumours.
Did you, yeah?
I don't know where I heard these rumours, but I heard a rumour that in the demilitarised zone between South Korea and North Korea, there's like massive wall, a door, a kind of little no man's land, and then another door, and it's basically the passageway from South to North Korea. And on either side of the door are two absolutely massive Koreans, North and South. And how it supposedly happened was, when they obviously set up the wall, they had a guard on one side and a guard on the other. Yeah. And one guard, I don't know if it was the North or the South, was slightly taller than the guard on the other side of the courtyard. So the Koreans replaced them with a taller person. And eventually it got to the point that now there's two absolute fucking behemoths standing there.
These are statues?
No, these are real people. Real guards. Absolutely huge. I think it was Henry Rollins from Black Flag, the lead singer, he was talking about it. Two absolute units.
Oh yeah, he was on Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yeah.
About it, yeah.
So as far as I remember, that's where it came from. That's the rumour I heard. that there's two absolute units guarding South and North Korea.
Bloody hell.
There you go.
That doesn't surprise me that something as mental as that is going
yeah.
on in North Korea. The Windrush, in England they call it scandal, right? But like it wasn't a scandal. It's a bit like the way they speak about troubles in the North, and they market it to be like
Troubles.
not a trouble. It wasn't a problem. It
war.
was a fucking war, like
Civil War.
Ben got to the United Kingdom through the Windrush generation. So in the 1950s, there was a big push for public services in Great Britain. So they wanted to heavily invest in the public services after the Second World War. Okay. So they sent out big poster campaigns in the Caribbean saying, listen, if you fancy it, come over.
Really?
And thousands of people did. Actually, hundreds of thousands of people did. And it wasn't like refugees fleeing. It was like people going, well, in Jamaica there's hurricanes and look, it's a bit dangerous sometimes, and go on, we'll give it a go. So families would have moved to Great Britain to join public services and live there. And they were told at the time, you don't need residential permits, you don't need to be a citizen, you're just given immunity forever.
How things have changed. And it's interesting for me because I live in Ireland without any paperwork. Yeah. So I see this as like, fucking hell. Look, have you read Paul Lynch yet? Prophet's Song about the dystopian future of Ireland. I haven't yet.
Comes recommended, man. It's a
Booker.
story.
Was he recommended for the Booker?
Yeah, he actually won the Booker.
He won the Booker. Yeah.
And it's about the future of Ireland being like totalitarian and really strict. And I could get kicked out if a politician or a party decided that wasn't going to be the thing anymore. Because I'm here because there's a rule between the two countries that there's freedom of movement of people. Yeah. Anyway, going back to Windrush. So, 1950s, that happened. The kids of the families then moved to Great Britain and then grew up as British and got jobs and lived. And then the mid 2010s, when there was a lot of hostility around people from different backgrounds, we had Nigel Farage and UKIP, and then Brexit happened. The Conservative Party around the time were clamping down on people that didn't have documentation. So they were rejecting entrance back into the UK for people that went on holiday. So there were stories of people who went to Spain, went to Italy, and then came back and were asked, where are your papers? What's your reason of like residency in England? And he said, well, I've never needed one. Like, right, you're going to need one, and that's it. It's awful. And then that went into the bashing down of doors from people that are from Caribbean backgrounds who never had paperwork, because there are stories of people that there was a story of one guy who just died of a broken heart because he'd had everything. He lost his job because he couldn't keep the job because he didn't have the paperwork. Awful. Now, through the work of Benjamin Zephaniah and other storytellers, that's how politics works, which is really annoying. Something shit happens, then a human story gets brought into it, and then they change their mind. Happened with Marcus Rashford, a footballer, and school dinners in the UK. It's awful. Politicians make bad calls, human stories come to the fore, and then things change.
They think of statistics, they don't think of people.
Yeah, it's awful. So Ben Zephaniah would have been a big campaigner against that, and he started the movement of getting Windrush U-turned, and in the end Theresa May turned it around. But it doesn't stop the awful stories that happen to normal people that were stripped of everything. There are stories of people who were asked, go back and give us a bank statement for every year you were in the country for. I'm going to share a poem with you which kind of reflects Benjamin's attitude to everyone is the same. We're all the same. The poem that I'm going to share with you, mate, it's called People Need People. People need people to walk to talk to cry and rely on. People will always need people to love and to miss, to hug and to kiss. It's useful to have other people. To whom will you moan if you're all alone? It's so hard to share when no one is there. There's not much to do when there's no one but you. People will always need people to please, to tease, to put you at ease. People will always need people to make life appealing and give life some meaning. It's useful to have other people. If you need a change, to whom will you turn? If you need a lesson, from whom will you learn? If you need to play, you'll know what I say. People will always need people.
That was Benjamin Zephaniah with People Need People.
And a lot of his work is like that. He writes a lot for children, actually.
Really?
Yeah, loads of his poetry books are really like children's poetry, but it's all a similar message, like, we're all the same.
But that's brilliant, I think, to write poetry books for children, because the best way to change a public's perspective is to educate the young, because the next generation will come better educated,
Yeah.
That's brilliant. It's a really, really good poem. I really enjoyed it. And obviously, like, we talk a lot about social media. We talk about people being isolated, and it's like people just need people. That's like a simple remedy that people think, oh, I've got this anxiety and I've got this and I haven't, And there was something to do. I remember hearing about a mad statistic about loneliness. And it's like it's absolutely skyrocketed. And people, even it's funny enough, people in cities suffer from loneliness more than people in rural areas in some cases, because they just go to work, they go home, they don't talk to anybody else. They might have a brief encounter in the shop, and then they're on their phone most of the day. So like, and a simple remedy for that is just fucking people to engage with and to talk to and to talk shite with, and yeah, exactly. We need you, you people. We need you, people.
People need people.
People need people to make wine for people.
Yeah. Who have you got?
I am going way back. I'm going back to one of the greats. I'm going back to Edgar Allen Poe. Spooky.
I was in Edinburgh not too long ago.
Yeah.
He's got a statue in the city.
Does he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I think he studied in Edinburgh. Well, was he a doctor? Sorry.
He was. I'll have to check up on it now, but I know that he was definitely an academic of sorts, because he wrote. I remember reading a fantastic essay that he wrote. So he was kind of like Orwell. He loved structure of prose and writing itself. And there's a brilliant essay you can find. It's called The Philosophy of Composition. I read it in college, and it stuck out because you're used to reading kind of the horror aspect of him, whereas this was an essay solely on how to structure writing. And he says, with a short story, and it rings out in any short story, and it kind of made a lot of sense to me, and it's what I actually applied to my own poetry as well. He says, if you're ever writing anything, a short story needs to be, first of all, written so that it can be read in one go, not in parts. And he says, when you're first starting, so if you're writing a poem or you're writing a short story, he goes, you first think of what effect you want to create in the mind of the reader or the observer. What effect do you want? Do you want them to feel happy? Do you want them to feel sad? Do you want them to feel confused? And build everything else around it. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if you just focus on, if you're like, oh, I'm going to focus on
story,
what's the person's
narrative,
name?
Yeah.
What kind of dog does he have? All of those dogs are important. But if you have a story and you just focus on the effect you want to create, it just makes it so much more powerful, because you never lose the scope of what the overall message is.
Yeah.
Which is, so this is a poem written by Poe, a Poe poem.
Nice.
It's one of his most famous.
Is it the Raven?
It's not the Raven.
Okay.
Quote the Raven. Quote the Ryan. This is a dream within a dream.
Okay, nice.
And it's not too long. It's not like, obviously the Raven is quite long.
Yeah.
It's more like a short story than it is a poem or like a Greek epic, whereas this is a bit sweeter. So this is a dream within a dream. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow, you are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is therefore the less gone. All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand, how few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep. O God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? O God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream?
That was A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe.
The very one.
Wow.
Haunted. That man was. You can tell in his writing as well. It's heavy stuff. You can a mind like his kind of makes sense that he's writing. When he's writing, really like a Telltale Heart, the one with the heartbeat under the floorboards that beats. the man is dead underneath the floorboards, but his heart still beats, and your man can hear, and he's going mad by it. Like, you can't just think of that by, like, you know, having a nice happy life.
No,
happy life.
No, he wouldn't be a barista.
He wouldn't sell things on Depop.
Oh god, have you heard of Depop drama? Do you know what that is?
No.
Oh my god, a recommendation for anybody. It's like a Twitter, Instagram thing, and it's basically just conversation between sellers on Depop drama. Depop. Oh my god, just like brilliant. If you forget telly, forget EastEnders, go on Instagram, Depop drama, just read the conversations. I want to talk about someone who I really admire as not just a poet, but someone who's grabbed it by both horns against the. And we'll talk about how difficult it is. We kind of talked about it earlier about, you know, being told that you're shit.
Yeah.
You know, being told that it's what you're up to is no good.
Yeah, writing's terrible.
Yeah. A guy called Lee Sheridan.
Okay.
Lee Sheridan, based out in Maynooth. His story is he went to university and he wanted to get published, and he was sick of getting no's, sick of getting submission rejections, and it was really affecting his passion for writing.
Yeah.
So instead of doing what usually we all do, which is stop writing and then do it all again in a year and then submit again and then, you know, all the
get a new haircut.
Yeah, and then all the magazines say no again. He just created a company. So he created a media company called Llewellyn Press.
That's deadly.
And he has 4 books published under that company now, 2 of his own and then 2 others.
Amazing.
And I just love his attitude of like, fuck this. You know, fuck this. And I find it very difficult to get we mentioned it last week, when you just plugging away in your day and then all of a sudden an email drops into your inbox and it's from some zine that you'd forgotten saying not today. And you're just like, fucking hell, that's another
6 months after you fucking submitted.
Yes, another rejection. The life of someone who wants to get anything creative out into the public is very tough on the ego.
Before we get into Lee's work, will I tell you another story? Stephen King, in his book on writing, talks about when he was coming up as a writer, and he said when he was a teenager and he started writing, he started submitting to different magazines. Another great horror writer like Edgar Allen Poe, and what he did was he got a nail. He had a big long nail and he stuck it into the wall in his bedroom, and he used to hang rejection slips. Every single rejection slip he got, because they used to post them. They used to post, it wasn't emails or whatever, it was post. And he used to
say it was
slips.
Quicker than we hear from people.
He'd stick, maybe so. The American Post is better than fucking something, you know, publications we know. But anyway, he's sticking them on the wall. Eventually the nail got so heavy that it fell off. So what he did was he got a railroad spike and he stuck it into the wall. And he started putting more and more slips on, and he goes, it took fucking years until
that manic level of determination is not, it's not normal.
But this was success is getting up one more time than you're knocked down.
I like that a lot, actually.
Good,
it's very difficult to do that though.
Or unless you're like Lee and you just create your own fucking path.
Yeah, and listen, a lot of industries have done that, you know. Like I was watching the Mary Wallopers. They're a trad band in Dublin. They're not a trad band.
They're from Dundalk.
They're not from Dublin. They're not a trad band. They're a Dundalk collective.
They'd be neo trad, I suppose.
Yeah, like modern punk trad. Would you even say? Really cool stuff. And they were saying Tommy Tiernan, like, you know, the record label wanted us to sign a contract. We almost did, but then it said that basically everything you own or do for the next 50 billion years is ours. It's just like, what? Like, even if you get a gig, it's a shit gig all the time. So yeah, it's hot. If you can go alone, do it, man. So Lee did that. I wanted to read you this poem because in a weird coincidence, me and you are both going to be in Athlone Town this weekend.
We did not plan this.
No, I've never been before. And the Midlands in Ireland gets a bad rep. We have to say that.
It's nice though. I have to say, like where I'm going, Athlone.
Kilkenny's nice.
Yeah, there's a beautiful lake where I'm going, and it is a lovely kind of countryside and stuff like that. So
I can't wait. I don't. But this poem spoke to me because I think this could be about any town.
Yeah. Any
town that that isn't in that wouldn't have like a YouTube video about it of a tour guide. You know what I mean? Any small town. Yeah. This poem from Lee Sheridan. It's called "The Place to Be." If you're looking for a place that's cheap, with litter as far as the eye can see, if you don't mind missing out on sleep, then Athlone Town is the place to be. If you don't mind waking up to the cold with your shivering face as white as a sheet, if you don't mind coughing due to the mould, then Athlone Town is the place to be. If you don't mind housemates stealing your food with the sight of dirty dishes a guarantee, if you don't mind your good nature being abused, then Athlone Town is the place to be. If you're used to the sky being grey and bleak and the chance of contracting an STD, if you're used to 4 or 5 takeaways a week, then Athlone Town is the place to be. But if you're forsaken and your wits are at their end, I think you'll have to agree. There's always someone you can call a friend. In the town of Athlone, the place to be.
That was Lee Sheridan, the place to be. Putting fucking Athlone on the map.
Come on,
Yeah,
Athlone.
that's where we're going now because of Lee Sheridan.
Oh, it makes you smile, that sort of thing. It could be Wolverhampton, it could be any bog standard town
Definitely.
in the world, anywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah, that's fucking deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. My poem is a bit more exotic than Athlone,
Very
unfortunately.
nice. We like travelling.
We like to travel on this podcast. I'm going to take it from the mystical shores of Athlone, even though it's in the Midlands. We're going to take it to a place called Rapello.
Rapello. Where are we off to? Where's Rapello?
Rapello is in Italia. It is Italiano. So the poet I would like to talk about is the wonderful Mikey Cullen. He is not from Italy. He is from Whitehall. I'm very proud of it. But I saw this poem a couple of months ago, and he was actually on holiday in Italy, and I was just, it's not even the first, he had a couple of pictures that he did up. Anyway, so I was thumbing through them, and then I saw this poem, and I was like, this poem is fucking brilliant. And we've both seen Mikey perform. He's a fantastic spoken word artist. Yeah. But his page poetry, the imagery that he has is fucking brilliant. So,
God, what a twat. Gorgeous.
He has it all, the
great
bastard.
Performer, great writer.
He's a teacher.
What a bellend.
Makes all the lads jealous.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's a lovely fella.
He's
as well.
fucking lovely, and he's a fantastic poet. And this poem is called Elysium.
Oh, nice.
What a
I'm
name.
already in.
What a name. Elysium. Rapello sits amidst the clouds. Steep sloping stairways carry us towards the gods that clad the green hills and took the town in. Hugging stone to sea and back to rock, buildings clad with murals, mosaics and tiles. Houses coloured warm and symmetric in Wes Anderson's style. Everyone flaked out, absorbing rays by the sea's bricolage of blues. That kiss the mirroring sky at the horizon. Ciao bellas everywhere, radiant and like the sun, look but don't stare. Church bells toll to remind us to be grateful for this beauty, for this life. No rushing, no need, no time, just be. When you die, if you've been very good, you go to Rapello.
That was Elysium by Mikey Cullen, and I think I was taken there.
Yeah.
And you weren't just taken there, you were taken to that dreamlike state of paradise that doesn't happen to you that often, maybe once a year if you're lucky, where you're just floaty. Like you're just floating.
You can imagine sitting on the Italian shore having an Aperol spritz underneath like a white umbrella, and nobody's wearing socks, and everyone's gorgeous. Wow, man!
It's taking us there. I don't want to leave.
by the hand we've drifted off. Yeah.
I do not want to go. We had an Agony Aunt.
Oh yeah.
Message in. Now it's Easter. It's been bank holiday, but also it's half term here as well. So I guess the kids are around. So we got a message in from someone who I think is disgruntled.
Really?
Yeah.
Their children are annoying them.
Well, yeah. The message was, I love my kids, but I wish they'd fuck off sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah, jeez. That's probably why it's on the long finger for me still.
Yeah. Still waiting on that patience to arrive.
That finger's getting smaller. Oh, but I hear you. It's that thing where it's the golden ticket, it's the diamond, it's the life goal for so many of us, and then.
But it's a rewarding experience, I imagine, as well. That's why people.
You'd hope so.
People didn't fucking. If you bring back.
I'm sure it's a rewarding experience. Come on, man.
If you like Oliver Twist to be selling children again, boy for sale.
One boy.
He's a little shit. Get him away.
Get him away.
2 for a $5.
Fuck him.
What have you got for our
I've
agony?
got it. Well, I found something that maybe it's just an excuse to use the work of Hollie McNish,
Fabulous poem.
English poet. She wrote a poetry book called. It's not, Nobody Told Me is not really a poetry book. It is a diary with stream of consciousness and poetry kind of interwoven between the story of having kids.
I got to see her perform at the Axis, actually.
Did you actually?
In Ballymun.
In Ballymun?
She was part of Colin Keegan's roadshow.
The Axis do good work, don't they?
And she was phenomenal. She had great poems. Poems you wouldn't expect. You know, like very kind of like honest poems.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
She has a great poem in this book called Dilf.
Yeah.
And it's about basically how fit the husband is now. He's looking after the kids.
She was doing one just about wanking, actually. It was, it was like this sweet, lovely little woman, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? She's brilliant.
Wonderful. Amazing. There's not enough poetry about wanking, in my opinion. This poem is about a longing for times before the kids came along. Do you remember? Do you remember what it was like to feel awake? Do you remember what it was like when your body didn't ache and getting out of the house didn't take an hour and a half? When you tried not to cry but breathe in when you were just out of the door, and then just as your kids are leaving, your kids start screaming and you have to go inside again to change them? Do you remember what it was like to have a shower or a bath uninterrupted, without little faces peering over the bathtub, begging to get in? Do you remember what it was like to feel comfortable in your own skin, before looking at your body consisted of memories of before? Do you remember the times you could admit to being bored without feeling guilty, before speaking secretly to other parents about craving adult talk, about how slow your toddler walks? Do you remember what it was like to talk to people your own age, to engage in conversation that made your brain feel tight again? Do you remember your body before it made and fed and raised a life? Do you remember what things you like? Do you remember your own hobbies? Or what it's like to have some space to think? Or take a bath or drink a tea while it still steams, to have a wee in peace? Do you remember the days before you knew how this love really felt? Love so strong some days you feel you've sacrificed yourself for them, body, heart and mind, and then some more. And some days you long to crawl, body dragged across the floor, roll over on your back and stare up at the ceiling, pleading, please, please, please just leave me here, to lie down, to close my eyes and sleep some time. But no one's there to hear your cries, so you carry on instead, and do not really mind, as long as that little sunshine of a child smiles from time to time.
That was Hollie McNish with Do You Remember the very first night of September? No, that's not the part of it. Do You Remember by Hollie McNish. She's fantastic. As I said, I had the pleasure of seeing her live in the Axis in Ballymun as part of Colin Keegan's the road show that he did all over Ireland. Ireland is, and she's phenomenal. Fantastic poem. So, my lab coat is starched. My goggles
Say it should be.
are on my forehead, and I've come out with a poem.
No.
This poem is called The Shed.
The Shed.
I'm currently sitting in the shed, and it is approximately 2 hours and 18 minutes until I get to put those little shits to bed. Now, don't get me wrong, I love me kids. Best thing that ever happened to me, but you see, they're on their Easter break, And now from the moment they wake, it's I'm bored, you're bored, and where's Mum? Stop snoring. Can't even go for the doze, I suppose, because the little one gets great joy in swinging out of me nose. Look, Dad, it's gone. With her tiny hand behind her back. It was funny the first time, now a week in, and I'm starting to crack. So, I'm in the shed, pretending to find something. While those little animals are getting fed, I've about 5 more minutes until the wife comes looking, because they'll be screaming and roaring once they've wolfed down her cooking. So I'll sit in the shed and count a box of nails or some screws. Only a week left to go. Jesus, why does it have to be 2?
The shed.
The shed.
You know, it's funny, I was listening to that and it reminded me of when I used to hide in the bathroom when I used to work in the pub.
Yeah.
I used to work in the pub and I just hid in the loo.
Oh yeah.
Just for so long, just because I didn't want to work. No, the bathroom is the shed.
The shed is a man's room inside the house that we just sit.
Wherever it is.
Because you can lock the door and you can sit there for peace and quiet and serenity. Sheds can be for women as well as men and people in between.
But there should be anyway.
Sheds are for life, not just for men.
We just need to remarket the shed.
If we want those boozy sheds.
Gender neutral place. Like what's the sheds, the pub now, the pub at home is a thing.
Yeah.
But the cocktail bar at home isn't a thing.
I know a girl I went to school with and her shed is now a beautician's parlour.
That's what I want to fucking hear.
Do you know what I mean? Her whole business is from a
girls.
shed. Girls, you know, sisters are doing it for themselves.
Yeah, fuck the pub where you got the darts board and the bloody
Yeah. You can get your lashes.
football posters.
You can get a vajazzle done.
Yeah, you can.
Do you know what I mean? Well, we can't get a vajazzle in the pub. Maybe you probably could, but I wouldn't want one.
I don't want one either.
No, you wouldn't want one. It'd probably burn afterwards.
Well, I'm ready for an Easter egg.
Oh God, yeah.
As always, love to hear from anybody. We've been hearing a ton. We've got loads of people sending us poems, so add to the list, please. We love hearing from people, especially new writers. You know, we've got a ton, and we're going to start sharing them. We might even do a show, just specifically for people that haven't written before.
Yeah,
sending us work.
Don't be a stranger.
Don't be a stranger. Follow us on the Instagram. It's the Poetry's Dead Podcast. Drop us an email. The Poetry's Dead Podcast @gmail.com. Hopefully you've got your email back after last week's call to arms from Leon about deleting your email.
I'm still a bit shook from the emails, but you know, you slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race.
And if you're on TikTok and you see our videos, be nice.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Do you know what I mean? We're trying our best.
What's wrong with everybody?
Give us your views and nice comments.
Yeah, views, likes, and if you're going to comment, be sound.
Look, it's the internet. We put ourselves out there.
You got it. You got
to take a bit of flack, you know.
Yeah,
That's why we drink wine and eat cheese.
You got to take it easy.
Softens the blow.
It is a blow. It was a blow today. Leon, thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Let's get that egg.
Get that Peppa Pig egg or the Reese's Pieces?
Reese's Pieces.
Oh yeah, right here.
Smash it open.
Get it on to me.
See you later.
Get up.